rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you all doing? Hope everyone's having a beautiful day. Before I start, can I ask that you give me 30 seconds? Is that okay? Just give me 30 seconds. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. If you're wondering what I was doing, I was actually paying my traffic fines, I was paying my electricity bill, my water bill, I was actually paying my SALIC for my driving. And on top of that, I took a photograph. I'm in the process of buying a home in the UK, and the solicitors have asked me for some documentation. All of that I was able to do within 30 seconds, right? So this is now the new world that we're moving into, where it's all about experiences. Just to introduce myself, my name is Zarar Ismail. I actually lead the architecture consulting group in CISCO. My main focus is we work very closely with customers, and we're trying to solve very specific problems. Now, before I start, I will say technology will not answer all problems. Sometimes we have to combine technology with processes and also with people. And when we start talking about experiences, one thing we should recognize is within the Middle East, one of the things that we are really good at is we are the leaders of hospitality. When people come to the Middle East, when they leave the Middle East, they say, wow, those people are so hospitable. They were so kind, they are so generous. So the challenge that we have is, how do we take that rich culture that exists in the Middle East, and how do we make it into a system when people interact with corporations? How do they leave and they get that same type of experience? And that's not an easy challenge. So that's the challenge that we've been tasked with. And inshallah, hopefully I can shed some light on that. And a lot of it's about psychology. Okay, so now before we start, it's always good, we're going to take a little trip down memory lane, right? So we saw in 2000, 2005, we have traditional call centers. And we've all been here. Yeah, so we have a problem, maybe our internet service is not working. We phone up the internet service provider, and it says, press 1 to deal with accounts. Press 2 if you want to go to the marketing department, and press 3, press 4, and sometimes it goes to press 9. Now, can you imagine this? I mean, we're so busy, and we're trying to deliver some documents to a customer, and it's press 9, press 10, and you can see here, right? It becomes a very painful experience, right? So something that was meant to help us is now becoming difficult for us, yeah? And that's the thing with technology. Technology will help, but we have to start thinking about technology in a slightly different way. Expectations have completely changed. And I think, we were speaking to one of our clients yesterday, and he was saying post-pandemic, people are expecting services to be available 24/7. And if there's a problem, people want instant fixes. And I'm guaranteeing all of you, if you were to get your phone out when you were to use an app, even if it was working, if it was slow, what would you do? You would actually stop using the app. So what we say today, we actually say latency is the new outage. We don't have to wait for things to crash. If something is slow, we will stop using it. So this is traditional call centers, 2000, 2005. Yeah, so, and we think obviously call centers will remain, but we have to start using them a bit more intelligently. Yeah. Then we saw in 2005 to 2010, introduction of live chat. Now, although this was a great advancement, because now instead of getting on the phone and press number 1, press number 2, we could instantly talk to someone, right? But by the very definition, when we say live chat, that means I'm expecting someone to be here, and I can walk straight up to them and say, hi, how are you doing? But sometimes live chat's not available, because if you want to deliver live chat, that means you have to have somebody who's sitting behind the desk. He's always waiting, which means 24/7. 24/7 means cost. Right, so once again, new challenge. So every time we introduce some kind of technology, it's introducing a new thing. How do we solve this problem? And when you commit to customers that you're going to offer live chat, and when if someone goes to live chat, there's nobody there, what happens? It becomes you start having a negative link to the brand. Yeah. And so so then you start thinking, and in fact, yesterday we met someone as well. He was talking exactly the same thing. He's saying, how do we deliver this 24/7 experience without like over or spending too? But obviously we don't have a financial bank behind us. How do we deliver these types of services? So this is the birth of the new expectation of hyper interactivity. And once again, if we think about culture, yeah, and the rich culture that we have here in the Middle East, if someone says I'm available, you can phone them anytime when they pick up the phone, right? So we saw 2010 to 2020 expansion of social media, and this became even more than social, like the live chat. And one of the things that we saw with social media is, like, especially the Twitter feeds, like people started monitoring them in a very hyperactive way. And in fact, even I can share my own experiences. Many times if I couldn't get the help desk, I would phone up. I would always go to social media because I knew people. In fact, I remember there was one hotel I stayed at, and I went in there and it was a really bad service. So I sent a message to the Twitter account of the hotel, and immediately they contacted me and they resolved my problem. And they said to me, "Well, excuse me, sir. It was, would you mind if you deleted your tweet?" And I was like, yeah, sure, sure. So now things are moving into the public domain. So once again, an amazing service, but imagine the damage to the brand. Now people are publicly tweeting about your organization, and people typically they're actually tweeting negative experiences as well as positive experiences. So these are all things. So now we're moving into psychology on, okay, now understanding the consumer. And as I said, from the Middle East perspective, because we are so rich in hospitality, we know exactly how to behave. If someone comes to visit us, right, we know exactly what the right way to treat them is and how to invite them into our homes. And we've got all this master. So we now need to start thinking about how do we take that same type of thinking and encapsulate it with a whole range of technologies so we can offer that, and if we offer that same experience. And if we can do that, then I think we're going to be very successful. So 2020, 2023, we saw the adoption of AI and chatbots. Yeah, so for example, if you interact with some companies, they're going to send you a parcel. You'll automatically receive a message on your phone, and it'll ask you what time you're available, what time do you want to receive the parcel. And I think chatbots, for me, I think they're really good. But once again, it's very limited. You can only take you so far. And now we're starting to see that emergence of AI. Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of hype in the market at the moment about AI. And how it's going to be used, and these are some of the things we need to start thinking. How do we use it in a way that's going to benefit us? And a lot of people are worried about AI. Is it going to take over our jobs? Yeah, but remember back in the day when the calculator was first introduced, and people thought, oh, like, is it going to impact people's education? But no, it didn't, right? And I think AI does have a place. So now here we are, 2023, post-pandemic. So the question is, where do we go from here? Like, what is the future of social media? And I'm sure you've all heard this statement, right? That people forget what you will say, right? I'm sure you're going to have people standing here all day showing you slides with so much information and content. People will forget even what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel, right? And I think that's something that's really important, yeah? That we need to start thinking about what is the future of that experience. So experience is the new king. In the past, we said cash is king. Right? I'm sure people have heard that. Cash is king. And we've then some of the consultants will say content is king. But the experience is the new king. Right? How do we become an experience-based organization? In fact, if you look at a lot of the products that are available on the market, irrespective of the vendors, even if it's something as simple as a kettle in your home, or a toaster, or a fridge freezer, or something rich technology, all of these products, they're almost the same. Right? So they're all undifferentiated. You cannot tell the difference between any of these products. So what is going to differentiate organizations? What's going to be the factor which causes growth? And what we say is experience. Yeah. It's no longer just about goods and services. Unfortunately, a lot of companies, they're not able to make that transition to an experience-based organization. But some firms are really responding very well, and and those are the companies that are really being successful. I think if you look at the pandemic, and we saw there was a lot of companies which transitioned into online organizations, right? We saw the pandemic happen, a lot of businesses shut down. I mean, I personally know some businesses which literally went to zero when the shutdown happened. Other companies reported record-breaking profits because they were able to pivot and just move straight online. Yeah. So we need to start thinking, how do we become an experience-based organization? How do we deliver rich customer interactions across the whole portfolio of whatever we're doing? And this is what's going to differentiate people, etc. Yeah, an organization. So you're probably wondering, what has this got to do with Cisco? Yeah. So Cisco, we sell routers and switches. Yeah. We sell data center fabrics and all these different types of things. So I'm actually not from the sales department. We're from the consulting arm. And our role really is to work with our clients to understand exactly what their challenges are, and to come up with innovative solutions to help them deliver those rich experiences. Now, sometimes that might mean that we will have some certain Cisco products. Other times that might mean that we will make partnerships with third-party organizations. But ultimately, our role is to sit and to listen to yourselves and work together and have a collaborative solution in order to get you to deliver those rich experiences. So what is it all about? So customer care transformation drivers. So these are some of the drivers that we're seeing. Right? These rich experiences can actually increase revenue if you do it in the right way, right? They can drive down costs, right? So we're going to give some examples of how you can still deliver a rich experience, but drive down your costs. We can show how you can actually increase employee experience, right? And also customer experience, right? So it's a total digital transformation. So literally we need to start thinking differently on how we look at our organizations, how we're going to interact with our customers, how we're going to interact with our employees, our shareholders. So some of the business outcomes add-ons, yeah? So these are some of the things, right? So we talk about Cisco Visual IVR. So this is something that we started doing. It's very powerful. So now, I mean, let's walk through that experience. So I've got a problem with the internet. So I'm going to call my service provider. It's going to go to the call center, and I'm going to get a, please press 1 to talk to such and such. Now already it started taking up some of my time, and I'm thinking, okay, I don't need the accounts. So please press 2, press 3, press 4, and then eventually I think, okay, press 5, that's what I want. So I press 5, it takes me to the next menu, and I'm thinking, okay, so now, and now it's about 10 minutes, and it's like, okay, and I realize I've clicked the wrong button. So I put the phone down, I think, oh man, now my stress levels are going up, I start again. Yeah? Now Cisco's came up with a solution called Cisco Visual IVR. Now for this, you make a phone call, and instead of having an attendant on a phone, it will actually present the entire menu on the phone. So you can read it for yourself. So instead of having to listen to someone and work out where you need to go, you can literally press 2, and it will take you there. If you got the wrong one, you just go back, and you start navigating on your phone. Right? And now this is a little bit, so it's a plug-and-play solution. Right? It's converged, right? We have a 360 view on customer interactions. People can see exactly where people are going, unified reporting. And this is what it looks like, right? So you'll get a menu like this on your phone. Yeah, make a payment, balance information, last 3 bills, last 3 payments. And it totally changes the customer experience, yeah? And you get actually a call history of exactly what happened, who called, what was the conversation looking like, yeah? So now the question comes, how much is 60 seconds worth? So if you're on the phone for a minute, what is that worth? Now, if you think about a call centers can have anywhere between 10 people to 100 people to 1,000 people. Now, their time is money. And you'll see 70% of call center costs come from agents. So all these people sitting there and are manning the phones, can we get rid of some of that cost? Well, by introducing the voice IVR and having self-service, we can reduce 40% of the cost. But we also came to, if with visual IVR, we can alleviate another 30% of costs. So it's a huge difference, right? So you can deliver not only a richer experience, but you're now delivering value to the shareholders, right? You're saving costs, and those costs can be realigned into other parts of the organization, and we can start thinking about investing in other parts of the business. Right, so these are some of the benefits that you'll see. You got lower call center costs, enhanced customer experience and satisfaction, increased customer loyalty, and higher value service, self-service, and overall it just becomes a much better experience for the people who are interacting with us. Increased revenue and profit per call, and this whole thing, it's not a huge it's not a huge investment. So that's visual IVR. Then we have something called smart IVR, right? Because now we're living in a world which is very agile, where things are changing every day. Now, in the previous world where you had this call menu system 1 to 9, or even if you had the visual IVR, let's suppose you want to change the menu, right? Now, let's think about that process. So you're in the business and you think, okay, we got some new products. We want to make a change. Okay, what we have to raise a request with the marketing team. So we go to the marketing team, we tell them, look, we want to make some changes here. We speak to the marketing team says, okay, we've understood what you want. Let's talk to the IT team. They go to the IT team. The IT team have to write a script, and it takes time. And all of these things can literally take a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then it goes through the system. So now with smart IVR, what we're saying is, if you're the business owners, you can directly manipulate the call menu on your system. So no need to go to marketing, no need to go to HR. We're putting the power in the hands of the business users, so you can dynamically control the IVR behavior. Yeah, so what that means essentially is, if you want to make a change, you make a change on the fly, and immediately it will come up on your system. So when people are phoning, it will change automatically. Yeah. We have smart data stores, once again, plug and play, seamless omni-channels, open interfaces, allowing people to interact. That'll give you a bit for analytics. And even if you want to do smart campaigns, so now you want to do sales campaigns, you can use that, and you can do contact strategy management, empowering businesses, customer care, etc. And there's a whole range of things. I mean, I could go through all of this, but obviously you're not going to remember everything, right? What's important is how you make people feel. Yeah. So this is a summary. So smart visual IVR, smart data solutions, smart dialogue dashboards, right? Etc. So the other thing is, we need to start thinking about, how do our customers navigate through, right? So when we take a client and he's walking and he's interacting with our business, one of the things that sometimes we hear, well, we used to hear that when people interacting with CISCO, is people would tell us it's a bit complex to interact with CISCO. So many departments. You've got your consulting wing, your support wing, you've got your sales organization. So it's very important that you start thinking about how people are interacting with you. So if you look at a customer day, exactly what happens, pre-visit, visit, follow-up, when they interact with, what's the follow-up, can we keep records? So for example, if you're offering live chat or some kind of social media to support your clients, if someone posts a message and no one interacts with that message, how do we track that someone posted a message? I mean, if you've got a Twitter account for your business and you're getting thousands of messages every day, how can you possibly record what people are doing? Right, so it's very important that we start mapping our way through this journey. Yeah. So we do this for our clients. A customer's day, you can see, oops, right, bank is there. Yeah, what are people doing? How are people interacting with the bank? What's happening? What steps are they taking? Yeah, and only then you can actually address and you can actually identify where the holes are in the experience. And obviously now we're seeing a lot of talk as with ChatGPT, right? Where we've got the emergence of what we call large language models. Right, a lot of complexity. So now, in order to deliver these great services to clients, we're seeing things like data lakes, orchestration, programmability, business intelligence. Yeah, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of these terms like data aware machine. So when you look at all of these things as leaders of businesses, you think, how do I take this and put a wrapper around it and make sure that we're doing this in a sensible way that's not going to obviously we all want the same thing. We want to provide a rich experience, but what we don't want is to damage the brand. And now we're seeing large language models are taking AI mainstream. And yes, we've heard of ChatGPT, but now there are large language models being implemented in private organizations. So all of these complex things are now emerging. Now, this is really what we do at Cisco, and the division that I'm at is, if you look at this, so when I want to move from this closed ecosystem where you have monolithic business models, and we want to move over to this open ecosystem, yeah? And in the old world, this is what the world used to look like. We had closed ecosystems, right? It was a monolithic business model where your customers interacted with you and only you. You had the data, and everything was nice and hunky-dory. But this is a very limited model. And now what we're seeing is people are now transitioning more to an open ecosystem. And this is actually what I've shown here is actually a lot smaller than what's actually happening out there, where you've got private businesses interacting with government, with IoT, with public courts and e-commerce applications. You've got people interacting with, like, this hybrid work taking place. You've got IaaS clouds, SaaS clouds, yeah. And so how do you make this transition? I mean, the level of complexity that we are seeing is unparalleled. I mean, data is literally everywhere. And data in a lot of organizations is the most important thing. And the level of cybersecurity attacks is going crazy, right? You've got your SaaS clouds. I mean, people go to one cloud, AWS, then go to Azure, then they go to GCP, the Alibaba. We've got OCI now coming into the play. Your data spread everywhere. Your users are everywhere. Everybody wants to get access to the application, the data. And as business owners, you want to give the data to people, and you want to give people the freedom to work whatever they want to work, but ultimately you need to make sure things are secure. But how do you secure these types of complex environments? I mean, APIs and all sorts, yeah? So this is now the fundamental question. Yeah? How do we transition from this open ecosystem into this really complex ecosystem? And how do we start addressing some of these questions, right? So where are we going to host applications? How do we support such a complex ecosystem? Like, who's the design authority, right? I mean, we've seen situations where we have organizations interacting with third-party organizations where they want to deliver a new application, and they expect the application people to come in and be able to tell them what the security requirements are. And we say, no, that you need to think a lot more thought into it, right? So how do we simplify our journey to this open architecture? Where should we host the applications? How do we secure data? How do we connect all these organizations in the ecosystem? Right, so obviously there are many benefits of moving to this open ecosystem, but there's a lot of cybersecurity risks. And I can say that, across the whole region, we work with a lot of airports, and we were speaking to one of the VPs at one of the airports, and the amount of cybersecurity attacks that we saw in the region are increasing, like, hugely. Yeah, so this is where we now have to start thinking about these things. So these are just some of the things, right? And honestly, there's a lot more than this, but these are some of the things you got to talk about, like data privacy. Yeah, I mean, when you put your data into the cloud, you don't even know where it's going. Obviously, in Oman, you have rules around data residency, having the cloud in country, which makes a lot of sense. But what about cryptography? Yeah, and we have things like zero trust, which says, look, we don't trust anyone. If you look at the old ways of architecture, what you'll notice that there's this concept is we trust people inside, but we don't trust people outside. Yeah. And if you look at network architectures, we had things like firewalls, and we said, oh, we trust the inside, but not. In the new world, we don't trust anybody, right? In fact, the majority of attacks which happen in an organization are being triggered inside. Now, you might think, well, no, we do trust our employees. Yes, you do trust your employees, but when that employee goes home and his machine gets compromised, and then he brings that laptop inside, he's now got access to everything. So every user has to be validated and verified again and again and again. In fact, at Cisco, every time we connect a laptop to the network, it re-verifies who we are, where we're going, what we're doing, what are we looking at, and it validates whether we should have permissions to get there. Yeah, so these are, as you can see, when you've got all of these different things happening, how do we secure that? Right, so this is really where Cisco comes in. So as part of my department, we actually work very closely with our organization, and we build reference architectures for companies. Yeah. And really, that's what I think that's the main message we want to get across to you today is CISCO. We have a booth here today. We build reference architectures, blueprints. So if there's any particular problems you want to solve, then we're open. You can come and have a discussion with us, and we can have a wide range of conversation. So I want to say thank you very much to the people of Oman. It's an absolute honor to be here and to have this opportunity to present all of you. And thank you very much. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.